Anything else?
I think you can request not to have certain things.
That's what I'll do.
We could just send the sweet potatoes my way. 'Cause I know. So, tutoring in Benfleet, what's it like?
Do you know what? I love it. I absolutely love it. I thought when I stopped teaching in the school, I thought I was going to be desperate to go back. And I miss being in the school, worked in some lovely schools both here and in Brighton. But I do really like building up a better relationship with the students.
Yeah.
I think when you're 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 is sort of my maximum number.
Yeah.
I get to know the students quite a lot better, and the parents as well. Actually, so much gossip from all the parents, and and actually having a chat. I mean, by the time my last thing comes and I'm sat at the door having a chat with the parents and that, that finishes sort of half an hour after I should.
Nice.
And same during the week. I think when some issues come up, if parents have any questions about schoolwork and things like that, they'll phone me during the week and again have quite a nice chat with them. And I don't think I ever was able to build up the same kind of relationship in school.
Well, you've got like 30 kids that come with 36 as parents, you're not going to get to know them.
Yeah.
So do you find that because you're kind of working alone, but you're not working alone because you've got that one-on-one interaction with kids, and then you don't kind of feel, sometimes working at home can be boring and lonely, you don't have that problem?
At the minute it's not quite the same. I'm doing everything through video.
Right.
I do miss having people actually in, but yeah, certainly having all the parents or the kids coming through the door, it's not quite as lonely as it sounds. You don't miss the whole group of 35 children the same way that you think you would, because I am still getting the interaction. It's still a lot of concentration, a lot of hard work, even 1-to-1. I'm not saying it's harder than being in a school, because I definitely know it's not. I definitely still admire everything the teachers do, working in big groups of classes and things like that. And something around here is a lot of the classes, like most places in the country, have been getting larger and larger. Even the grammar schools up in South End, they've been coming under increasing pressure to increase classroom sizes.
I think when I was at school it was a maximum of 30 pupils, and now it's crept up to, it's more like 35. So
it does change.
It
does change from school to school and class to class, depending on the needs of the children. I find that's a very good thing that a lot of the schools do around here, which I didn't get as much of in Brighton. A lot of the schools here, for children who do need a little bit more support, they do seem to be in smaller classrooms.
That's good.
So I have a couple of students with special educational needs, who are on learning support programs and things like that, and their classrooms are a lot smaller, which is nice to hear. But
and what local schools, do you mind saying what local schools you kind of get kids from? Do you hear good reports?
I get King John and Appleton are my sort of big two, but I've also had students from Belfairs, Tommy Moore. I've got a couple of schools in Rayleigh and Thurrock as well. So I do get sort of a bit of a range. I've got ties to Thurrock because of my old jiu-jitsu club, or my jiu-jitsu club, which is Stanford Warriors. So they were based in Stanford, and I was a big part of that club for quite a few years, and so I'm still feeling my way in with them, and I still get students and recommendations from people there.
Yeah, and it's generally all word of mouth. You don't.
A lot of it's word of mouth. Yeah, I do have a Facebook page. Billy Murphy Math Tutoring. But it's not sort of as active as it needs to be. A lot of my promotion is word of mouth and sort of recommendations.
Which is great, because there's no better recommendation than somebody who's used you and been happy with your service.
This is what I found. I mean, I considered doing leafleting and things like this, but I actually find that, especially Benfleet seems to have like a really big community feel.
Yes, definitely.
And I think, you probably could find that in a lot of places, but particularly in Benfleet, everybody talks to each other.
Yeah.
And all of the parents have group pages, and all the local parks have pages where they gather and they talk to each other. And when you're out and about, everybody knows each other.
Especially dog owners, because we're both dog owners.
Yeah, they're both causing
I've never found anywhere that other dog owners will just talk to you all the time. Never lonely.
Yeah, speaking of.
If you're making an appearance, are you? Excuse me, get down please. Get down please. No, I want to be in it. I was going to ask you about the Zoom tutoring actually. Do you find that quite difficult? Do you find that kids Because I think I can be guilty of this as much as anybody trying to multitask. Are they thinking, right, I've got Penny there on Zoom, but I could also be texting my friend? Do you find they don't concentrate? Or they think you can't see them?
I mean, what they get up to at home is anyone's guess, whether they're actually doing the work or not. No, I tend to find that they're all pretty good. I have quite a good group of students, and I've built up quite a nice relationship with them as well. So I do tend to find they do listen to me.
Yeah.
They may not, they may be sat there on Snapchat or Instagram or whatever they're doing, but they are answering the questions and they are listening to me. At least they're doing a very good job of pretending to listen to me, one or the other.
Kids are experts at it though, aren't they? Like,
oh, fantastic, yeah.
While they text.
Yeah, they're fantastic at it. But
how long are the sessions? Like an hour?
An hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's enough that...
I have a couple of students who are a little bit less than that, and every now and then I'll have a parent that sort of requests a slightly shorter session. But normally an hour is quite a nice time. By the time they we have a little chat at the start, see how their week's been, do the bulk of the lesson, and then at the end some students will sort of play some games with, or some of my poor GCSE students will get maths games, of course. Yeah, we're not playing Jenga. Some of my GCSE ones will just kind of get like nice hard exam questions to finish them off, because I want them to go home looking exhausted for their parents. So yeah, we'll give some nice difficult questions towards the end, sort of really make sure they've understood what I've been talking about in the lesson.
And I know you've had some really positive results, haven't you, with GCSE results, better
grades, particular grades, and I tend to have a greater uptake from people who are struggling. So I tend to have the lower end people coming to me who currently aren't on a pass grade, and I'm able to get them up to what they need. And that's kind of, I mean, I miss doing the harder maths. I love doing the harder maths, problem solver, maths nerd like it is. But you do get a lot of satisfaction from someone that comes in adamant they hate maths, adamant they're not good at maths, and you can show them that actually you are good at maths, you just haven't had the tools to sort of show you.
To what the right teacher can achieve. So I hated maths in school. I had a maths tutor that I still remember, Patrick, when I was about 12, 13. And I actually got an A GCSE in maths, which is amazing for someone who hated maths. I wanted to be submitted for the lower tier exam. Yeah, we can only get like a C.
C, yeah, so that's all changed now. No letters anymore. No letters anymore, it's all numbers and no one quite understands it. But it's sort of a level 4/5 now is the C grade, which everyone's aiming for.
Yeah. But I am surprised everybody got an A, but I still, to this day, credit Patrick, my old maths tutor.
I think, I don't think all students need tutoring, but I think that a lot of them will benefit from it. And I think that with the current classroom size and things like that, people are struggling for different reasons. Some people, they're just not meant to be in a class with so many kids in it, and where I can then sort of come in and help and do as much as I can, that's where I sort of come in and I'm able to help out a little bit more.
Yeah. What was the comparison, or what was the decision process for you compared to working in schools in Brighton to Benfleet? Was there just an area that you preferred to live, or did you
so my family were down here, which is one of the reasons we came back. I grew up in Benfleet, was in Benfleet all my life, moved to Brighton, and then sort of after I'd finished my first degree and then my teacher training, the house prices, would love to have stayed in Brighton, but me and my other half couldn't quite afford it. It was very, very expensive. What we were looking at in Brighton compared to here is the difference between a 3-bed semi-detached house or a 2-bed flat.
Yeah.
So as much as Benfleet isn't the cheapest place, it's still a lot cheaper than others.
Yeah.
And considering our links to London, fantastic links to London
Absolutely.
Here.
And I guess in your line of work, it's not going to make a huge deal of difference in terms of job prospects whether you're in Benfleet or Brighton, but Brighton's obviously, it's got its own charm.
Yes, no, I mean the charm of Brighton was fantastic. It's a very studenty town. I think after we finished uni, it didn't quite have the same appeal. Hearing drunk people like screaming and shouting outside, and walking to work in the morning and there being people still out on the streets coming in from a night out is quite strange. It's very quiet here, but it has its own charm though. It has its own charm. It's different to Brighton. It's very different to Brighton, where Brighton's very very loud, very up and coming, very vibrant. Whereas here is so peaceful. So we've got the dog, and we love going for walks. We've got Richmond Park, obviously we've got all of my family as well. Hadley Country Park, so we both go out cycling. There's so many entrances as well for the country park. And you can go around there and enter from the same way and do 3 or 4 different walks from each of the entrances.
We did a completely new walk last week. So Seb's nursery is up by the mountain bike park, and we dropped in there and just went for a new walk, just a wonder, and just ended up going down a complete new path that I've never been in years. Just discovered a new path. Ben was in her element. She loved it.
Well, I didn't even realise there was a path through. We entered by the school lane entrance by the station. So all the parking's free after 5 o'clock, so we can just drive down there because he's still quite small. He's only a small dog. So we tend to chuck him in the car. We drive a mile and a half to the car park, and then he can go for a longer walk in the country park, so he can be off the lead. You do have to watch out for cyclists, and there are cows in the bottom fields, but he's quite well behaved, so it's not too much of a scene. But we was walking up, and there was just sort of like a little entrance into the woods, and we're like, oh, we'll go through the woods then. And again, didn't even know that there was a path to cut through it. And
something new every time.
Yeah. But there's that as well, the cycling path up there. We haven't been out for as many cycles this year as we did the year before.
You're keen cyclists, aren't you?
Yes, we are. I'm surprised that I managed to get Ros cycling, but she loves it. She absolutely loves it now.
Have you tried any of the mountain bike tracks up there?
Yes. So we only do the blue one.
Is that blue the easy
so blue's the easy one, but I still wouldn't exactly call it easy. It's still big climbs and some quite steep down hills. I mean, the first time she got to the top of it, we went down the first hill part and she stopped dead, and I was down at the bottom, and she was going, I can't get down here, I can't get down. She was just dead stopped at the top because it's a big steep hill. It's a really big it's an Olympic grade mountain biking
There's
track.
One with with the wooden slats. Have you seen that?
Yes, we don't go on that.
It's up at the end, so I can only imagine when you come off the end, you go.
It's a bit of a jump, but I mean, I think for people who are a bit more confident, who aren't self-employed, who maybe have better work insurance. It's fantastic. I've got a couple of my students actually go down there, and they love it, going off of the big jumps and things like that. But equally, there's parts of the track you can enter. There's the playground up at the top for any kids that want to get into it. So often we're up there, and there's a really nice playground, but there's a cycling playground as well. I don't know if you noticed that when you were up there. There's actually a couple of.
You kind of go over up and down the little hills.
There's a couple of sort of like training grounds.
That'd be where I would be.
That's where you'd be.
If I had a bike.
But so if you wanted to get into it, which I would recommend because it's on our doorstep. If you ever fancied it, and it's a one-way track, it's no pedestrians, it's as safe as they could make it. It's as safe as you make it as you go around, depending on how confident and fast you go around. But again, there's little parts of the track that you can enter and have a go on as well. So there's the double slalom. And there's a blue loop towards the bottom as well, which is actually quite a nice loop to go around. It still has sort of nice sharp turns and sort of cambered edges and things like that, but it still feels like it's part of the track. And so you can probably go down there at any level and jump on the mountain biking course and have a really good time. Or equally, you could just stay on the shared paths and just go for a nice cycle up to the castle.
Or I could go to the cafe and get a latte
and
a muffin.
And one of the they do big baked tarts as well.
They do some really nice food actually.
Which was one of the most upsetting things about going into lockdown. The fact that we couldn't go up there and get these baked tarts.
The dog can go in the cafe with you.
Yeah, he's been in with us. He's been in. He sits down and. Tries to eat our cakes.
So that's quite a nice thing in this area for kids to do as well, to keep them out of trouble. I keep seeing a lot of stuff on the community groups at the moment about some of the kids in Benfleet. I don't see Benfleet as an area where kids are troublemakers, but then perhaps I'm not kind of seeing the whole picture. But I moved here less than 2 years ago from Canby, so I didn't come far down the road. I see more issues on the island in certain areas with kids kind of roaming in groups. I've never seen that personally here, but
I think you get small groups of it.
But none of your kids.
No, of course not. You do get small groups of it, and I think in any area you will have certain issues.
Yeah.
There's going to be trouble anywhere due to whether it's young people or people who have had a drink. You know, we've got loads of pubs down here. You go down to the station, you've got 3 pubs all next to each other.
Spot for choice.
This is it. You're always going to have a certain bit of trouble in any area. I certainly don't ever feel unsafe in Benfleet, and there was a lot more trouble when we lived in Brighton.
Really?
A lot more trouble.
Yeah. Do you think of Brighton as a nice, safe
area? It's a lovely area, and you do get a nice sort of diversity of people down there, but you still get trouble. You get trouble wherever you are, but I think the rise of Facebook and Facebook groups does seem to exaggerate it a little bit, and I think sometimes it can be you only ever see the negative things on there. I think a lot of time people tend to get in the habit of only posting the bad. You don't tend to get.
You don't post had a lovely walk with the dog.
Yeah, nobody cares. No one wants to know who said hello to you. But yeah, I mean, I think there's that kind of neighbourhood, but then again, that's part of the community feel. This whole neighbourhood watch kind of thing, people posting videos if someone was out being a bit suspicious, and it's kind of, I think there is that looking out for each other, you know, this has happened to us, possibly be on the lookout for that. I don't think everybody
post the road name like this happened on Woodside, so be aware of it, and that the roads in the local area will all be on alert.
I mean, even around here when we first moved in, our back was very unsecure, we didn't have a side gate and things like that, and one of our neighbours just said, oh, just so you know, someone was sort of popping their head round, but then we put a side gate on and we haven't had any trouble since. But that's what is nice to say, wherever you go you will have a small group of people that cause trouble, but I don't ever find that Benfleet is bad for that. I don't ever feel unsafe going for a walk or even out in the evenings in the winter when the sort of nights draw in a bit. I don't ever feel unsafe or feel like it's a particularly crime-driven area.
I think we live in a really nice part of the world, to be honest, and I've enjoyed everything about moving to Benfleet so far. No regrets. I'm happy, and like you say, the park, you know, you go and walk the dog. I've never felt unsafe. I walk there a lot on my own. Even in Hadley Country Park, you know, you can go get lost in the woods. I can do that on my own. I've never felt worried. So, do you think there's more that we could do for kids in the area to keep them out of trouble? I definitely think so. So there's Legacy, which is a little skate park, actually over at Richmond. By the car park. Isn't that shut down?
Is it shut down? It might have done. I don't know whether it's open at the minute, but it may have shut down. It may just be a temporary thing. But I know that was there for a little while. But obviously the playgrounds are for the younger children. That's the only thing I would say, is that possibly there could be more for that teenage age bracket. I remember being a teenager and we was just out and about. We didn't want to sit in all day. It's nice that kids don't want to sit in.
Would they go to like a youth club, or is that not a thing?
Possibly. I can't see many of them using the library per se as a thing, but I think if there was a big decent sized youth club here, you know, without it being here, it's hard to say whether they'd use it, but I think they would. I think you do see every now and then, especially over at Richmond, groups of children sort of hanging about. They're not always causing a scene, they're just sat around playing football.
No, I walked past some the other day and they just had like a music player out, and they were just standing around playing music. They weren't getting up to anything wrong.
Just enjoying being outside.
They were just being teenagers. But I can see, I didn't find it intimidating, but I can see how it could have felt intimidating to certain groups of people. But what would they do other than that? At least they're outside, they all seem to be kind of socially distancing. I suppose their parents don't want them coming all into the house. Yeah,
there's that. I mean, we do have good travel links. This is one thing I remember when I was sort of in my sort of teenage years, we were sort of up to South End quite a lot. Jump on the train and go to South End, or even cycle. There's so many paths to cycle safely to South End. We was up there for quite a lot of the time.
So you got the whole seafront.
We got the seafront, got the arcade, Adventure Island, the beach. Even in Lee, you've got a massive skate park in Lee that we used to go to and used to hang about there.
Right by the station.
And it's by the station. It's behind the tip. It's away from everything, so you can be down there. You can be nice and loud with all of your friends, and it's not intrusive or disruptive. But yeah, I think that's the only sort of area where Benfleet is lacking. There isn't much to do for the younger people, but because of the travel links, even down onto Canvey, you can head down onto Canvey. You've got you've got the beach down there. You've got Movie Star.
Yeah.
There's things to do nearby.
Yeah.
Basildon, you've got the shopping centres.
Yes.
There's things to do nearby, but as far as Benfleet itself goes, for the younger people, it is a little bit more restrictive.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, overall, I'd say the kids in Benfleet and the community feel in Benfleet is still really positive.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And you got some good work out of it, which is good.
Yeah, no, it's benefited me, obviously. Being kids here is pretty essential for my work, so I haven't got a bad word to say about it. Yeah, no, it's nice.
Yeah.
I like it around here. It is calm and it is quiet, and I think if that's your kind of thing, if you are nice and
it's been enlightening to learn a little bit more about. I mean, I have a child, but he's definitely not school age yet. He's 1, so although I can vouch
never too young to start.
I'll book him in for next week. I had a look at several nurseries in the area, and they were all great. We were spoiled for choice, so I definitely can vouch for the nurseries. But I'm going to learn more about the schooling around here as we go on. But I'm confident that he will excel at maths.
Yes. But there's the schools; they change all the time. They're always changing hands, changing teachers. You always get a mixed group within the school as well. As we all know from being in school, some teachers are better than others.
Yes.
Some of the teachers, I get reports from some teachers that they are absolutely fantastic, go above and beyond day in, day out for their students. And I think that's where you sort of put your focus. That is, I think it's so easy, like we were saying about the kids hanging around, it's so easy to sometimes focus on the negative aspects of the school, but we do have some very good schools in Benfleet, both primary and secondary, and we have links to the grammar schools up in Southend as well.
Yes,
there's a nice range of schools, and as a general, all of the kids are great around here. Lots of very polite, very friendly children. Yeah,
we are absolutely happy with the prospect of Sebastian growing up here, being part of the Benfleet community. There was no urge to move on by the time he got to school age. So I'm happy, and I'm glad that you're happy teaching here. Don't move back to Brighton.
No.
Alright, thank you so much for your time.
That's okay. Thank you for having me.
I'm going to put a link in the comments to your
my page.
to your Facebook group. I'm going to get inundated now, so
hopefully
you'll
But I'm always happy to give out advice as well, even if I haven't got space. I'm always happy to give out advice for people in the local area who want to learn a little bit more about the schools and the education system, so it doesn't just have to be 4 lessons.
That's great. I'm going to talk to you about that in 10 years' time.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good one.
You too.